Let's talk about the feature premiere for gameplay in MLB The Show 26. I didn't get to watch this in real time, only saw bits and pieces. Then I saw some stuff on Twitter, so I want to go through each step, break it down for myself, and for anyone who decides to put themselves through this torture. Thank you. The first part of gameplay they talked about was big zone hitting. This is where you push down on the left analog stick and you can choose one of 9 quadrants to sit in. But then you track the ball as it comes to the plate, and obviously you try to put the bat on the ball while you're in the right quadrant. They've been looking for a way to bridge the gap between timing, directional, and just regular zone hitting, so we're going to see how this plays out. I'm not against this idea. I'd like to get people off directional. I used to play directional in like MLB The Show 16 and 17, not even knowing there were other ways to hit. And I was like, I feel limited here. And I used to be like a 240 hitter when I started using zone hitting, and I've been closer to like 270, 280, 290, 300, somewhere in that area the last couple of years. So I do encourage people to get off directional if possible, because there is a higher ceiling. So as you see here, you're moving around. This is technically tracking. Doesn't really look like it until you see them take a swing. So here we go. Kind of sitting up there, drops down. You see the green right there. When you drop it to that part, you get a good swing. You get a good result. I'm going to look at it one more time. You can see the previous feedback. He got to the right side of the plate there. So, again, you can see the quadrants moving around as you move the PCI. And there you go. I'm interested to see how this works out. Again, I'd like to see more people get in the zone, and I think this could be positive encouragement for that. They also introduced something called fixed zone hitting. So if you swing with a PCI, if you're using zone hitting, if you're using a PCI to hit with, it sits dead middle or wherever you choose to anchor the PCI. And you can move up, down, left, right into different parts of the zone, a little bit out of the zone. But if you let go of that left joystick, it defaults right back to the middle of the zone or wherever you set your anchor. With fixed zone hitting, that is no longer the case. I'm going to show you the clip. It's almost weird seeing it move this smoothly and could be good. You see that? There's no knee-jerk reaction to letting go of the PCI, and you can just kind of move where you'd like. I'm very open to this. Let's say you're looking for a certain pitch. This is the easiest way to sit on it, because even if I'm looking for a high fastball, first off, if you throw a low off-speed, I'm swinging out of my shoes, and vice versa the other way around. But sometimes when you get the pitch you want, you get a little antsy, and you're moving around the PCI, you're fidgeting, and you still get under it, you get on top of it. This could also be very beneficial for players. I am curious to try this out myself. Next up, this little quick menu that pops up when you're at plate or on the mound. I love this. There's a couple of different things you can do here, as you can see. Make managerial changes, bullpen, pinch hitter, defense, but also PCI sensitivity is in MLB The Show 26. Setting up this quick menu and using the right joystick, I believe, to adjust that is really cool. And not only can you adjust PCI sensitivity, but there's also a stick dead zone you can adjust. Now, I believe this was accessible for people if you have like a fancy PlayStation controller, like the DualShock Edge or whatever you call, or some of those different looking Xbox controllers. I don't do too much looking into that. But it looks like this is also an option in the game itself now, which I like. I didn't even know dead zones were a thing until my friends saw my .7 KD in Warzone and were like, we got to get those numbers up a little bit. So stuff like that really does help, could make the difference. Unfortunately, my opponents also have this advantage. So while I might be able to hit a little better thanks to these adjustments, I am going to get hit harder than ever before if people were more comfortable at the plate. But that's life, and that's a part of being cooked. The next feature we were talking about is bear down pitching. So this is in reference to, let's say you're in a tight spot. It does not matter what inning it is, but sometimes pressure mounts later in the game. But hey, let's say it's the first inning, you got bases loaded, 2 outs, and you just want to get out of there. You have a full count, and you need to drop like a dot of all dots, throw some kind of backdoor slider to throw them off their game, whatever. That's when you use a bear down pitch. Here we have Mason Miller gets this pitch right here. Strike 2. Now he reaches down to his bear down pitch. See that little cinematic zoom in? You still got to execute your pitch, but if you do, I like that. I want to see this pitch in instant replay real quick, because here we go. As long as it's not 104 on the black, I have a chance to hit that. Okay, that's beautiful. So look at the pitching options right here. Energy, confidence, L1, R2. L2, you'll notice that little bar, that little meter. There's a 0 there because you don't have a bear down pitch yet. But it's half full with that yellow fill in there. So The way you can get a bear down pitch is by throwing strikes, getting strikeouts in big situations especially, and then your clutch rating also affects how fast that fills up. I believe the dev said you can get a maximum of 4 per inning. You can generate like 4 per inning. And if you're Mason Miller, you probably have good clutch, and that'll fill up faster. Now, a bear down pitch, it's kind of like reaching back for one last pitch, you know? So let's say you're 80 or 90 pitches in with your starter. He's getting tired. The velo drops a little bit. A bear down pitch increases the velo if you execute properly. It also boosts the break a little bit, and the par is smaller. So keep all that in mind. This is all awesome. But even if you still make your pitch, it doesn't mean your opponent's gonna whiff. They still have a chance to put the bat on the ball. But it does give a little more oomph to the pitcher. You still gotta execute, and they can still take it 450, which they probably will do against me. So this is the first full look we get at the new UI for player attributes when you're looking at a player card. As you can see, it's no longer color-coded based on certain categories of attributes. So no more orange for hitting, no more green for fielding, and blue for the speed stuff. It's just white if it's really low, yellow if it's decent, and green if it's really good. If it's over 99, maybe it's also blue or something. I don't see that here yet. So Wilyer Abreu, you'll also notice that the reaction is split into 4 directions. We've already heard them mention it, but this is our first time physically looking at this. There's also another graphic on reaction we'll look at in just a little bit. You'll see intangibles listed here as well as an attribute, but this is not Diamond Dynasty. You'll see a Diamond Dynasty player card in just a little bit too. Just bear with me. I think this is clean. It's going to be a little different after years, since I've been playing Diamond Dynasty since like 15, and although there have been changes to the UI, I don't think it's been this different. So it's going to be a bit of an adjustment, but I do like it at first glance. So that was the hitter UI. This is the pitcher card UI now. As you see now, hits per 9 and Ks per 9 are split into lefty and righty splits. That's great strategy. I love that idea until it burns me in a game. And for those who don't notice the difference in what hits per 9 does, that counteracts contact, because contact will increase the size of the PCI and hits per 9 will lower the size of the PCI. The higher the contact, the higher the hits per 9 goes in those directions. So for comparison on the left here, 99 hits per 9 versus 62 contact. So the hitter does not have the advantage here. It's 37 points higher, I think. I don't know. It's too early for me to be doing this crap. So yeah, that compared to 62 hits for... So compare that to 62 hits per 9 versus 62 contact, where it's more evenly matched. The PCI gets a little bigger. If it doesn't look that obvious, they do have it overlaid on the right side, and you go, okay, that does make a difference. That helps you put the bat on the ball. And that's on all-star difficulty. Okay. That's probably what I'm going to play, because I'm not that good. But no, I really do like this. You'll also notice there's no more walks per 9. That has been replaced by control. And it's not individual attributes for control anymore. I don't know, because there are guys who have control of 3 pitches, but not their 4th or 5th, or maybe they only have control of their fastball, not so much the secondaries, etc. Although they did say, if you look at the usage number on the right, that is tracking with real life stuff to keep realism, the more they use that pitch, the smaller the par is. Control also plays a factor, but let's say you only throw it 5% of the time, that par is going to be bigger. They also have stuff listed as an attribute now. That's cool. You'll also notice, if you look at this Garrett Crochet card, how come home runs per 9 is not on it like it was for Max Fried? That's because this year it is not even on the DD card. Homers per 9 isn't even an attribute that plays online, so they just removed it from the card entirely. And that's not the only attribute being removed from Diamond Dynasty cards. Here's a look at Aaron Judge's Diamond Dynasty player card. You'll notice that plate discipline and durability are not on this. Not only does it make the UI cleaner, it's also just more beneficial to building cards. We've seen in years past, more so in the early cycle, you'll see those kind of attributes that don't affect the gameplay, that don't affect the cards, being inflated. That was one of the reasons the power creep felt so slow at times, because you'd see a 94 overall card and you're like, what makes this a 94? So I think this is really good for Diamond Dynasty. But also fix that fielding ability and speed, please. Now looking at the reaction breakdowns they do here for each direction. As you can see, Xander Bogaerts. This card shows me fielding is going to be rough early in the year, and there's going to be a lot of Derek Jeter memes about having range to his right. Because early in the year, you're going to have a good hitter who's a bad fielder, a good fielder who's a bad hitter, but if they cannot field, this might be really tough. I do like there is a set of realism to this, because while someone might have great reaction overall, if they're being more true to themselves, being bad to the left, but good forward, good to the right, and being okay moving backwards, I'm okay with this. Unless it plays out terribly and really shatters the animations in the game, I'm on board with this. And guys, you might go, oh, he's being too positive about everything. I promise there's things I don't like, and you will see. You will see the Italian come out, all right? So just settle down instead of looking and demanding negativity out of me. Now we're going to talk about pop time. That is an attribute. It's not a quirk. Watch this. Also, no, he gets on one knee, but that is very good pop time. That's when the ball hits the glove until it gets out of the catcher's arm to the second baseman. That's beautiful. I need more base runners thrown out. It was too easy to steal bases last year. Unless I was the one trying to steal bases because I suck. But yes, I like this a lot. It's more realistic. They also talked about 600 new animations being added. I believe they're over 1,600 animations now, or 16,000. I'm missing a comma here. I'm sorry, okay? But I don't know what to make of this until I actually play the game and see the animations. Because like we can watch the gameplay and see that, you know, it looks smooth or not, whatever, but until we see it for ourselves with the controller in our hands, with the game online, then I'll have a more valid opinion, right? This is what it looks like. I like when they turn quick double plays, but I'm sure this can be based on fielding attributes. I also want to get better at jumping up for these balls. I had a hard time robbing home runs last year. But yeah. See, I love the Jeter jump throws. I need more of those in my life. But again, and you know what? Third basemen were terrible last year defensively. I think everyone who's played MLB The Show can vouch for that. It just seemed, even Scott Rowland early on, he was pretty useless at third base. Just, there were too many generic animations of just, oh, that ball's going under me. Oh, that ball's bouncing over me. I'm going to hope a lot of those animations went to third baseman. All right. See, you guys want something that I'm going to complain about? I'm complaining about ABS, automatic balls and strikes. After the fiasco of strike zones last year, I was begging for ABS to be a real thing in the game as well. And it's here, but there's only one problem. It's only offline. You cannot use this online. This does not make sense to me. They claim this is because they have perfect umpires enabled online automatically, but if you played MLB The Show last year, you know that is not the case, and Angel Hernandez is the permanent umpire behind the plate. However, if you do disagree with the call offline, as the batter, the catcher, or the pitcher, you can press a button to challenge, and then we'll go to the screen, and even if it touches a pixel of the strike zone, it is called a strike. I'm a stickler for that stuff, so I do like that, but I despise the fact it is not online. I beg for them to highly reconsider this. So here's something. Hitting depth of field. I don't always like seeing that little bit of blur in video games, but I'll make an exception for this. This should make it so much easier to see what's going on when you're trying to hit the ball. It blurs out what could be a bad batter's eye, fans in the stands, or signs that have like a white silhouette or something going on back there. And if the pitcher has a funky delivery or just their arm slot is inconvenient to that ballpark, you don't have to worry about not seeing the ball well. Again, we'll have to see how good it is when you're, again, controller's in your hand, adrenaline's pumping. But I love this addition so far, and I'm thankful that they looked into this, because a lot of people complain about not being able to see the ball at certain places, and people who make custom stadiums do it intentionally to mess with you. Or they'll even choose stadiums at times of day where shadows are coming up onto the field and it's hard to see the ball. So thank you for countering the cheese. Now here's something that's controversial coming to Diamond Dynasty. While playing offline, you have the ability to turn off pitchers coming out of the windup. If you want, they can only pitch out of the stretch. However, in Diamond Dynasty, stretch is now the default. No more full windups. I don't think anyone necessarily asked for this outside of a few people with very long windups, which could have been taken out, and that's fine. They did say to counter the issue with some pitchers out of the stretch like Tarek Skubal, they were going to slow it down a little bit and give you more time to get your pitch down. So I'm curious to see how this works. I don't hate it.
I don't love it. I don't know. Another one of those things I'm going to have to play for myself to see if I like.
Another change they've made is to how you view pitch history. This is something I love because, again, I stink at this game now, but to get a little bit of a leg up, I do try to pay attention to patterns, what they're throwing to me in certain counts, what pitch they like throwing first pitch. There's a lot of ways to analyze this stuff, and having pitch history is important to me. So look at the pitch history per at-bat sequence. There's a couple of things you can break down into this. You can customize it for yourself, pitch or handedness, ball or strike, what pitch type. There's all kinds of filters you can put on this, or situations, runners on, bases loaded, nobody out, 2 out, whatever. I love this. Hopefully, I don't have to worry about looking into foul balls too much this year. Also, they did say you can now pause in the middle of the at-bat now. I believe it's once per at-bat. You press down on the D-pad, whether you're hitting or pitching, to step off or step out. I like that, but last time it was in the game, it got taken out because people were using it to glitch the game and intentionally cause freeze-offs. Praying that is not the thing this year. Praying that does not work. Also, you would go into the menu to look at pitch history like this, but you could press R2 to see the pitch history of the current at-bat. Or if you haven't taken a pitch yet, of the previous at-bat. Now, the issue with that is you have to press R2 to do that, and pressing R2 for the last 10 or so years would also potentially jack up the opponent trying to make the pitch. And I am happy to inform you, they told us that is no longer the case. It will not interfere with the pitcher trying to make his pitch anymore. That way, cheesy people also can't try to manipulate it and be weird about it. It's not the end of the world. It's just lame, in my opinion. It's not that serious. They'll tell me, well, you shouldn't get that mad about it if it's not that serious, bro. I work 40, 50 hours a week. I spend another couple dozen hours a week doing this stuff, trying to entertain and inform people about games and, like, hang out with my girlfriend, hang out with friends. I don't want to spend 45 minutes of a game with 30 minutes of it being someone R2ing, extending every single attempt to throw a pitch. I got things to do. You do too.
They have also announced some changes to co-op online. If you look on the right, you can change how things rotate, whether it's hitting, pitching, fielding. You can do intervals of rotating every plate appearance, every 2 plate appearances, every 3 appearances. Rotate per home run. I might have to do that a few times because sometimes I like to hang some meatballs. I'm Italian, remember? This is also beneficial if you're playing with someone who absolutely carries and they keep getting intentionally walked. This changes up the strategy a bit. But none of this really matters if they don't fix the connection issues, especially playing with co-op. It was very glitchy. You could win and lose points, lots of freeze-offs, a lot of disconnects.
Now, I saved this for last because while I do largely like the things they're doing, there is something that really bothers me about MLB The Show 26 and what they've told us so far. I'm going to hide my Sicilian face to talk about it. So if you played MLB The Show last year, righty, lefty versus lefty, you can pretty much just throw sliders low and away, and it's hard to get to. The PCI would shrink a lot, not just a little bit, a lot. And this criticism was voiced all year. They did make an adjustment, I believe, onto the highest difficulty, where they reduced the shrinkage of the PCI when this happened. And in the stream yesterday, they kind of just doubled down on it and said, if you don't like that the PCI shrinks, just use ambush hitting to guess it, and then you'll get a bigger PCI if you're right. The issue is, if Aaron Judge is at the plate and he's facing a righty and he throws a low slider away, his bat does not shrink 50% all of a sudden. If Juan Soto is facing Garrett Crochet and he throws a slider low and away, Juan Soto's bat does not shrink. So why does the PCI shrink when you're trying to put the bat on that ball for that particular pitch? It's going to happen to everyone. This is a part of why people used so many switch hitters last year. A lot of us may use switch hitters because then the pitcher has no advantage whatsoever. Lefty, righty. Sure. But anyone that was trying to compete, especially once you get the Hall of Fame or Legend difficulty, you kind of don't have a choice. Look at the difference of these overlays. Ambush, middle, no ambush. When the ball goes away, the PCI shrinks quite a bit. And even look at ambush. When they guess correctly, it's still a little bit bigger than no ambush. So that kind of deflates their argument, in my opinion. I try to make my criticism as constructive as possible. I don't believe in just yelling on your net and, like, listen, just because they've given me a care package before doesn't mean that's not why I'm being nice about it. I just don't believe in completely crashing out about every single thing I don't like about this game. But I really dislike this. Again, look at the overlays. The biggest PCI here is middle. I don't like the idea that because they threw the ball in the corner, even if you get to it, it's harder to hit and square up. That is my belief personally. Maybe you guys feel differently about it, but if you're playing on Veteran or All-Star, you may not notice that difference, but this feels very noticeable. If you see the bottom note, this is on Hall of Fame difference. This is what I'm trying to get to because I make World Series a couple times. I did it a couple times last year at least. And I just really disagree with this part. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this if you made it this far. There's probably like 3 people that made it all the way to the end of this video. I'll give you free pizza if I ever see you. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts on this stuff. We do have lots of more feature premieres and deep dives and trailers. I'm going to try to make more long-form stuff. I'm just busy. It's hard. But I'll do my best. And to those that watch, thank you. Until next time. Peace out.